Dear students, I am really happy that we have with us AIR rank 44 Deeksha Chourasiya, who have been associated with us since last few years. She was our history optional enrichment program student. She has also been associated with the essay module and the mains test series, and apart from these programs, we have been discussing and communicating at various instances regarding the interview, prelims strategy, and it really feels like a personal achievement also, being a faculty and associated with a person known for a lot of grit. When I see Deeksha, it further strengthens my belief and of all of us in that process, that is UPSC preparation. It is a testimony to the years of hard work, a vision that was shaped by her mother. She will be talking more about it. So please let us welcome Deeksha to this podcast. Deeksha, really congratulations.
Thank you
and
so much,
we are thankful to you that you got some time to talk to us, and through this podcast we will be discussing a number of important issues related to history optional and otherwise also. And even after this podcast, we will be connecting with students through multiple ways. So Deeksha, please let us start discussing about your dream, I would say a dream, which later was a vision also. How did it begin? From where did you start thinking that, okay, I have to move in this direction of UPSC preparation?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Really grateful to be back with a rank. But I think the journey has been very long. I started in class 10th. I mean, my vision started building in class 10th. So I was clear that I want to become a civil servant, although I was not mature enough to understand what it takes to be one. So I took humanities as a subject because I knew that it would help later on. So I took humanities, got good percentage in 12th, so got into Miranda. Thereafter I did history honors from Miranda House, and after the college I began preparing for this examination.
Very good, very good. In 2023 you had written your first mains.
Yes.
Fine. Could you just tell us about your marks in history optional that year, and then from there to securing rank 44, what all changed? Because I have seen you from 2022.
Yes, sir.
Please tell us something about the first mains experience of yours. What were the major key learnings?
Yes, sir. I scored 252 in optional.
Okay, that is decent.
Decent, but not decent enough to get any
Okay.
rank. But yes, I had a lot of lacunas back in 2023,
Okay.
and I realized that because I could not revise much in those 3 months. So I knew my weaknesses, so I worked upon it. In 24 I could not clear my prelims, unfortunately, so it gave me a lot of time to work upon my optional. And I did make a lot of short notes, revise them constantly, and I think the scores are not out yet, but I think history optional helped me.
Okay, very good. Deeksha, you did your graduation from Delhi University Miranda House, and then you started preparing history optional, a subject which is challenging in terms of the syllabus management. In fact, we were discussing also before the podcast that one of the challenges of managing history
True.
is the syllabus.
Yes.
And then you have made a lot of short notes also. You joined our history enrichment program. So two things which students want to know about module courses, that what is the fundamental offering of a module course and when it should be used primarily, because given the current scenario where the times gap between prelims and mains is very less, 2.5 months, I think.
2.5 months.
So what is an ideal time when a student, having done the GS course once, should start preparing, and what should be the approach to prepare history optional specifically? Please let us please give a detailed account of that.
So for the first attempter, I think you have a lot of time before attempting prelims. So between October, November, December, January, like I think these 4 months are the golden period where you can prepare optional. GS is something that is started in the beginning from May. So once you are done with GS, make sure that you are doing optional side by side parallelly, and by December you should be ready with your optional. At least you should be thorough with it. I'll say it again. At least you should be thorough with it for once.
Okay.
And then you will have enough time to revise it after you clear your prelims.
That's very good. You joined, and I have vivid memories of the history optional enrichment program, because you used to be always a regular student, taking all the classes, writing all the tests, even if you exceeded the time limit at times. So what benefits did you get? Because you already come from a history background. You have already done a lot of reading, I remember this. So what benefit did you draw from an enrichment module course? Then we'll come to the answer writing part.
Definitely, sir. I think I came from a history background, but that gave me a lot of knowledge. But that knowledge had to be channelized in a way that could secure me marks. So in college, you read history in a very different way, in depth, and you have to write a lot of pages. But in history optional, you have to be very succinct, very precise, and you have to present your answer in a very different way. So for me, I had to make that transition, and for that, enrichment helped me a lot, because I knew the basic knowledge. What I wanted to know is how to write answers, what are those special points that I can get, what are those special points that I can add, so that I'll get one extra mark in each and every question. So that +1 cumulatively
Yes.
gives a
Lot of edge.
So that enrichment helped me in that.
Okay. When you talk about a different answer or a creative, this is something that is often spoken about, but is not easily deciphered and decoded. Because you have done it and now you have crossed the bridge. So how does a student with a decent level of knowledge start answer writing, and what should be the process by which you can ensure that from 250 to, definitely the scores are due, but it would be nothing less than 280 to 90. How do you do that? Please detail on the process.
So answer writing is a complicated process. It's a long process. So I think for starters, you have to start from somewhere. Don't think that you don't know something, you haven't revised it, or you haven't read it again. Don't think about that. बस एक बार टेस्ट लिखना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए. Break that inertia and write a paper. Irrespective of the time limit, irrespective of the marks, you should be aware enough as to where you stand, and by writing the paper you understand where you stand. So I think I started writing in 2023 effectively. So I understood that my speed is less. I understood that revision is very important if I have to write factual answers. So these are the things that I realized after writing the tests. So break that inertia and start writing. And secondly, make sure that even if you have written the test, attend the discussions or make sure that you get good feedbacks out of it. Just writing answers won't help because you can do it at your home as well. But learning from your tests, making sure that you look at other copies of your friends, make sure that you learn from it, what better you could have done to secure more marks. So I think these two things.
Okay. Getting more into the answer writing part, I know that you had a very good grasp over historiography, because sometimes I would remember telling you that you have added too many historians, you have to cut down. So first of all, what is the role of historiography? Even we were discussing that you prefer to write more answers of world history because it has historiography, medieval history because it has historiography. So how a person, because you come from a history background,
Yes.
but not many, and they also they do clear the examination. So if for someone who is not from a history background, how to prepare historiography and where do we stop? Because for every argument there are 10 historians. So please ye bataiye aap, because this is something that is very confusing for the students also.
Exactly, sir. I also was confused. So there is a fine red line as to how much historiography you have to use.
Yes.
There are certain questions that require you to write historiography. For example, the debates on the decline of, for example, the debates on the decline of Indus Valley civilization.
Okay.
That requires you to quote historians and different arguments. So it will be historiography rich. But there are other factual questions like the architecture of Cholas that might not have many scholars saying their arguments on it. So you have to select the questions where you have to put it. For that, I think the practice will make you perfect, where you will understand where it is required. And secondly, don't overdo it. I used to do it because of my college. but don't do it because it becomes a pattern.
Yes.
And then the examiner does know that you have just learned some of the arguments of the historiography, you have learned some of the arguments of the historians and you are repeating it constantly. So make sure that you have a small page for every part, like for ancient, medieval, modern and world.
Short notes on
Short
historiography.
notes on
Very good.
historiography. Write the author or historian and their arguments, and that short notes will help you a lot at the end.
So you had that?
Yes, but after the preparation only. It is not necessary that you have history background in it. A normal candidate can also do it.
Okay. I remember second very unique part about your answer writing is that you used to come up with maps a lot. I think you remember that.
Yes.
So when we write answers of paper 1, so which are the type of questions where we need to integrate maps also, because we cannot do it everywhere. So
Yes.
please tell something about that also.
I was good in fine arts, so maybe that motivated me to draw more in my papers.
Okay.
But I think maps are necessary in some of the cases. Like firstly, when the question requires you to represent geographical expansion or geographical location of a dynasty. So
Okay.
in that, maps are necessary, or maybe to show the trade routes
Very good.
in the economy section. So in there, maps are necessary to give a visual representation of your understanding. Sometimes words are not enough. And secondly, you can also add maps in the questions where you're not content heavy. So map covers a lot of space in the
Okay,
page.
that's very creative.
Yes, so if you know that you don't have much content on this question, try to add flowcharts, maps or any other diagram. For instance, there was this question of stones, Stone Age and Chalcolithic Age in ancient India. So I was having a lot of content, but I drew certain stone tools like burins, microliths, and I did label them as well. So it presents an understanding to the examiner that I know the shape, the figure, the location of these things. And I think one of the greatest advantage of history option is that you already do map section in detail.
Yes.
So you already know the location, how to draw map, where is the site located. So use that information of 50 marks that you have read in other sections as well, in 15 markers, 20 markers. Use that information and draw maps.
Yes, yes. In fact, the most popular book on paper 1, Ancient India, Upinder Singh has a lot of maps and boxes, isn't
Yes.
it? You worked a lot on your introductions. They have always been content heavy and relevant, but we were just discussing that the type of introductions that you used to write when you began and now is very different.
Yes.
In fact, that is one of the challenges with the students, that they know the content and they just want to write something and jump to the body. So please tell about preparing introductions. How did you do this time, and otherwise the journey also?
Yes, in 2023 I realized that I was writing very generic answers, especially introduction, conclusion, and I knew that I had to make an edge there.
Yes.
So for me, I wrote at least 5 to 6 templates of introduction. So firstly, it was like you can quote any historian if it is related. Secondly, a generic introduction wherein you give the background of the question, the context of the question. Thirdly, you can use dates and time period. If it is not mentioned in the question, you can give the time period and what was going on in that period. Fourthly, you can give some unique aspects as well. For example, the current context, the
Very
current
good.
affair, any author, for example, The Golden Road by
William
William
Dalrymple.
Dalrymple. You
Yes.
can use it very well in ancient answers. So some current context, something unique. So I think that will catch the eye of examiner.
Very good. And what about the conclusion?
Likewise only, like the introduction, there are templates for conclusions as well. So introduction should be broad based, but conclusion should be very precise. Conclusion can be related to something futuristic, like this had happened in
I think we discussed this one.
yes.
That we should have a
futuristic
very
conclusion
good.
or
Yes.
a positive conclusion.
Yes.
That if they're asking a question about Cholas, then their contemporary relevance, how they are being their naval power is being revived.
Sanjeev Sanyal, yeah.
Yes, so Cholas, the naval power of Cholas, they are that is being revived. So connect that to the contemporary times.
Great.
Again, conclusion should be futuristic in the sense of if the question is asking causes, then you write in the conclusion that what was the basic consequence of it as well. Give another point of view apart from what the question has asked. And especially for the 10 markers, the space is very less. And you have to write the conclusion in 1 or 2 lines. So in that, make sure that you have certain lines ready already. It can be a quote, it can be something that a historian said, or any good line from any book that you feel represents history. So I think templates must be ready before mains.
So this time, apart from studying and preparing notes, a lot of things had already been planned because that would save time. We were also discussing about the map section that remains the Achilles heel. In fact, how did you go about the map? Because it is compulsory, that nothing can be done about it.
Yes.
So how did you prepare the maps?
So mapping has been a bit tough for
Challenge.
me. But still, I knew that the more you do practice of mapping, the better your marks will become.
Please tell about that friend strategy, because everybody would like to know.
Yes,
How did
so-
you prepare in a very creative way?
I knew for a fact that even though if I do it personally, it will take a lot of time and I will constantly forget it. So I used to ask my flatmates to draw a map and ask me where the site is located. So they used to learn, ask me by drawing the map and the site, and then I used to answer it to them. So it was like a quiz.
Fun
and
activity.
A fun activity, and it became less of a burden that way.
Wonderful. That is one of the ways in which, when you are staying in Rajendra Nagar or any PG or hostel, you can make use of that creative time.
Definitely,
Very
I
good,
think
very
your friends help you a lot.
Yes, yes. You have been saying that you have been giving credit to everybody around you for your success. Coming to the last part, I would say one of the questions which is conventional but yet very relevant is managing the sources, because there are so many good books that are there. So many good notes have come.
Yes.
So please tell us about how did you manage the sources? Were you into book reading or selectively preparing notes? How do you do that, please?
So I used to read books a lot during the college,
Okay.
but not after that. So during the preparation, I knew that my notes were becoming very bulky. So in 23, I did not have one-pager notes. It was all bulky notes,
Okay.
and I could not revise it in the 4 days that you get after GS. So again, I realized from my mistake, and then I made very short notes. Like there are around 100 subtopics in our syllabus. For every subtopic, there was one pager, and just the main arguments, the historian, the dates, and the location, just very short notes. So around 50 pages, final summary notes. So I know it will take time for a
But worth it.
yeah, it did take around 4 to 5 iteration of revision
Okay.
to come up to those 50 pages. So I know for a fact that I started with I think 4 bulky notebooks, and then it watered down to 50 pages. I think it will come with time for any aspirant, but I think that should be the goal.
So instead of just buying a crisp note from the market,
Yes.
you should do on your own.
Do on your own. If you don't have time to read bulky books, make sure that you read the summary of it. Now that ChatGPT is here,
Yes.
I think AI will help you a lot in summarizing the arguments of these books. So do utilize that. I have exploited it. So utilize that. Write the major arguments. Don't elaborate a lot of it, because examiner is not very enthusiastic to read one argument for a very long time.
So moving to the other areas, I remember that between prelims and mains, you used to write a lot of tests and read and write. So this time also we have only 2.5 months, I think. So how should we ideally plan these 2.5 months of preparation? What should be, there's no, I would say, a golden number, but what should be the ideal number of tests a candidate should attempt in GS optional essay, please?
So I think that is a very subjective question,
Okay.
and you should not take my advice on the word of it. But what helped me was writing a lot. So after prelims, I took a break of around 3 to 4 days and I started preparing for mains. Irrespective of the result, you should start after 3 to 4 days. That will give you a lot of time because the time is already decreasing. Then secondly, I think optional ke liye you have to write at least 10 to 12 tests
10 to 12
at
tests.
least. So that will give you an understanding, because the GS test is very different from optional test, and you have to shift your gears in 4 days after GS is over. So I think optional ki test at least 12 to 15. Then GS, I think it is very subjective. In my second mains, I wrote more tests as compared to my first mains, because I knew for a fact that writing will help me. So I revised and I wrote it on the same day. Whatever topic you are revising, make sure that you write a test on it either on the same day or on the next day. So that will help you to imprint that in your mind. And for essay, I think every Saturday, Sunday. It was fixed for me. So every Saturday, Sunday, and you give it for checking to anybody, to your friends, to your relatives. Make sure that you get a layperson's perspective as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Means you should not be just academically loaded, because it is
Yes.
more like a flow also.
Yes.
Very good. So another aspect of UPSC preparation which is very important, apart from the GS paper, optional paper, essay, is current affairs.
Yes.
So how much were you into newspaper reading? Because this part of this side of yours I never got to discuss, because we were more into optional discussion. So कितना newspaper पढ़ते थे आप? Yeah, हर दिन, how did you manage?
Sir, I read newspaper every day. So
The
it
Hindu?
was a, yes.
Okay.
And later the Express.
Okay.
But it was a habit that was inculcated right before college, since 11th, 12th. So it was a habit. I had to read the newspaper, not as a matter of syllabus, but as a matter of habit, that you need to be generally aware of what is happening in the world.
Did you make notes of it or anything like that?
I did a mistake of making notes in my first attempt. So
Took a lot of
again,
time.
a lot of time, and I did not revisit it again.
Oh.
So I don't recommend making elaborate notes, but what I did was I made WhatsApp groups with me, and
Acha.
for GS 1, 2, 3, 4 and optional. So whatever news I felt was important for that subject, I used to just click a picture and send it in that group. So it was easy that whenever you have to write mains, you just visit that WhatsApp group and see what news or data
Articles.
points or some interesting quotes that you parked there on the WhatsApp group. So maybe use that or Evernote. It's an online
Yes,
platform.
yes.
So you maybe use Evernote or WhatsApp group. Don't write too much, but do. I think newspapers are important.
You have done exceedingly well in your interview also. You got 198 marks. And Anuradha ma'am board was.
Yes.
How did you prepare for your interview in those 2.5 months? I think 2 months.
2 months.
2 months, yes. 19th January.
Yes.
Tell me.
It was a very unique experience because it was the first time I gave the interview. So my strategy was 3-pronged. First of all, make sure that I know about myself, where I am from, what is my philosophy of life, why do I want to join civil services. So I think just sitting down with yourself, asking yourself questions, that helped. Secondly, preparing your optional graduation subject. It was the same for me. So history, just revising the sum of its part. Then secondly, and then thirdly, I think current affair. So it's a very dynamic process.
Yes.
So whatever news that comes that day, or in fact in the previous 3 months, it was very important. So we had a Telegram group in which we used to discuss current affairs with our peer group. So that helped a lot.
Most of the questions you were mentioning were subjective and opinion based.
Yes,
That I think helped a lot.
definitely.
So Deeksha, the entire circle has come to a very beautiful end. It's very good, and we wish you all the best for a new journey that you are going to embark upon. Definitely after this podcast, we will also help you to connect with, we'll help the students, to connect with you in some other way, because they have more doubts. We'll do that, and we're very happy that you have the seed that was planted by your mother has now has borne a fruit.
Definitely,
So,
sir.
so
Very grateful to be here, and in any way, if there is something with, if there is something that an aspirant wants to know, I'll be happy to help them. And thank you to you as well. You've been there since day one, so thank you so much.